Tennafitzgerald along with Brett Blakemore will have lifeboats the rest of the way, starting with Kelly Pannek of the Frost. Next segment, Ryan Carter, Wild television analyst at 1:30, and then Mark Rosen, fresh off that vacation in Italy at 2 o'clock. But right now with Brett, it is 5:34.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Brought to you by Willow River Company. Question number 1.
Time now for an in-depth look at the state of hockey.
Great tune. It's unbelievable. This could be a historic night for your Minnesota Wild. First time advancing the first round in 10 years.
11 years.
11 years now, even more.
2015, yeah.
Could be a historic night for the city. More on that later. Brodin out as well. Petrie in on the third pairing with Bogosian. Oh, boy. But just in general, going into this Game 6 against Dallas, on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your confidence level that the Wild can get it done tonight?
I've stated throughout the series, I think it's a coin flip series. But the Wild have won 2 in a row. I do think, at least in Game 5, there's reason to be more confident in the Wild after that game than maybe throughout the rest of the series because, one, you got Matt Zuccarello back, which had an impact on the power play. Scored a power play goal. They also had one that would win in the net, but was called back. Kaprizov always looks better when you have Matt Zuccarello on the roster, and their PK showed a pulse. Still not great. They weren't shutting down Dallas, and they gave up. The first goal they gave up. I thought that was actually more on Volstead than the actual rest of the PK, but they had some. At least they probably gained a little bit of confidence from their penalty kill that they hadn't had through most of this series. So, they are going to be in front of a crowd tonight that is going to be raring to go, ready to blow the roof off the top. It's obviously early on is going to be important, right? You don't want to have Dallas. The worst thing that can happen tonight is someone on the Wild high sticks a Dallas star. You're in the penalty box. Dallas scores on the power play. It's the same old, have some doubt creeping back into you, get the building quiet, and then, Dallas kind of suffocates you defensively throughout the game, and you're chasing and chasing. That's what you want to avoid tonight. I do think if the Wild can get on top early, that the energy is going to be unbelievable in that building, and I think they might be raring to go. So, I mean, when you get to like Game 6, it's the same cliched talking points of stay out of the penalty box. How often have we talked about that throughout the series? But it is going to be important because 5-on-5, and but also at some point Dallas's bottom 6 has to score, right? Can you go an entire series without getting a goal from your bottom 6? That's what's happened so far with Dallas. Can that continue? I just don't know if that can. But, can their red-hot power play continue at the rate they've been at? Maybe that can't either. So, I guess to answer your question, I think it's a coin flip game, but I give a slight edge to the Wild. So I'll give it a 6. What would you give it?
Question
I'd
number...
go
You're a little more homerish than I am, are you?
I typically am. I'd go probably 7, maybe 7.5. I really think they can
very
get it
optimistic.
done.
Well, they can, yeah.
Anyway.
They're playing a good team.
It's now time to take an in-depth look at the welfare of the Wolves.
Another good tune. Not as good as the state of hockey, though. Similar question. History could be made tonight for the Wolves, even though they've been in the Western Conference Finals the past 2 years. But still, getting out of the first round, beating Denver yet again would be a great moment for this town and this club. But the injuries just keep piling up. Ayo is now out. And basically, if you're...
He's not out.
Oh, he's questionable.
Yeah, he's questionable. I thought you said he's out.
Well, it's
he's playing.
The calf injury.
Did you see what it was listed as? It was listed as right calf soreness. If you were listed as soreness, you are playing in a playoff game. Now, that might be masking what an actual injury is, and maybe we don't. If you say soreness on the injury list, he's playing tonight. Come on.
Well, you hope.
Bones is well, we already know Bones is going to play. Io's going to play.
Basically, if you have a G next to your name on the Timberwolves, there's some ailment going on with you at this point, which sucks. But my point, well, with that being said, what's your confidence level on the Wolves getting it done tonight on a scale of 1 to 10?
I think the Wolves have to get it done tonight.
I agree.
I think that they don't get it done tonight with the energy of the crowd. Game 7 is going to be a problem in Denver going to Denver without Ant, without Dante, maybe without Io, according to you.
Just popped up out of nowhere.
Tonight is where you need to come back to being lockdown defense. And like I said with Dane, that was the most successful Denver's been in a couple games of being able to provide offense, but it was strictly off of their defense. Is the Wolves 25 turnovers, which is atrocious. And then Denver was just able to run the whole game. And then so the Wolves are never setting up defensively. And, it was kind of like flip-flop where the Wolves can usually create offense off of their defense, but they weren't able to defend because they were turning the ball over on offense, so they were caught running the whole time. Whereas usually it's the opposite, where they defend Denver, now they get running and can score some easy buckets and be able to attack the rim, which is, when you don't have Ant, Ant can attack the rim, but we don't have Ant and, Dante DiVincenzo, who's he's a perimeter guy. Yeah, he's a perimeter guy. He's out for a while.
Yeah.
When those two are out, you have to play Bones and Io a lot more than you normally do. And those two are both aggressive, attack the rim. But unfortunately, we were turning the ball over. Ball was going the other way, and then they were never able to get out and transition because we didn't have the chance to defend properly the entire time. So I thought the Wolves offense was so frenetic in Denver. So many plays where they were just constantly moving around full speed, jumping in the air, and all of a sudden I guess I got to pass to somebody, and just not exactly textbook passing they were making, and just it was a problem. So hopefully they learned a couple things over these couple days off and have a little bit more. I like to bring everything back to hockey. In hockey, if you just play at one pace all the time, you become easier to defend, right? If you're slow, it's easy to catch you. If you're only playing full speed fast all the time, you're easier to read. It's harder to make plays. If you're a guy who can change up speeds, then you become a challenge. And I think the Wolves need to get back to changing up speeds a little bit more. I know you want a quick one here.
Yeah, I know. On our production meeting, can we get
quick one?
Question number 3. Now it's time to play On to Something or On Something.
I watched the latest season of Full Swing yesterday, and it had the Ryder Cup, and it got me thinking about a couple days ago. Jim Furyk was announced the U.S. Ryder Cup captain for the 2027 Ryder Cup in, I think, Ireland. I'm here to tell you, I don't think the Ryder Cup captain does. I mean, you set the pairings, and there's statistics behind that, and I understand there's certain, I don't think Keegan did a great job of throwing Morikawa and English out there a couple times, but ultimately the U.S. got their asses kicked because they couldn't putt. And the whole first 2 days, they couldn't putt, and Europe could. And I just feel like the Ryder Cup captain just doesn't do, I know could be a preposterous statement, but I feel like you and me could be Ryder Cup captains at the same amount of effectiveness as a Jim Furyk. Yeah, it would have been fun to see Tiger do it, but you set the pairings, you get them hyped up, but they have to go play and they have to go putt. I just think, Tenna, am I
On to Something or On Something?
I was not expecting a Ryder Cup question on April 30th with all the stuff going on today. Very impressive.
It did get announced the other day, though.
Yes.
That Jim Furyk was the captain.
I would say, just generally speaking, even more so with the Ryder Cup, but generally speaking, coaching in general, I think it's just easy for fans when things aren't going right to just point out the coach.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot easier to say the coach is the problem as opposed to the 15 players on your basketball team or your 20 players on your hockey team or your 54 football players. It's just easier to go with the coach. So we just have one thing we got to clean out. yeah, coaches are, your Ryder Cup captain can't make putts. They can't drive the ball in the fairway. If you can't play with a certain guy, then that's on you, man. But yeah, you just play better golf.
And that's it for today's edition of 5 Questions. Well, actually 3 questions, but 5 sounds like more than 4.
Frost are starting their playoff action this weekend against Montreal. We'll talk with Kelly Pannek next, right here on the Fitz.
Fan.
Carboni's Pizzeria wants to fuel your Game 6 playoff party tonight. You can visit one of their 30-plus locations to enjoy delicious pizza and get ready for the playoff run. Find your nearest Carboni's today, carbonispizza.com.
Yeah, welcome back. Brandon Molesky, Tennafitzgerald in for the Common Man today. The Minnesota Frost begin the playoffs this weekend. They are up in Montreal, 5-game series versus the Victoire. And we're now joined by Minnesota Frost forward Kelly Pannek. Kelly, thanks for your time today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
How do you feel this time of the year? Is the feeling changing a little bit, even though you've already won back-to-back Walter Cup championships?
Yeah, no, I mean, it doesn't matter how many times you win. You got to get excited for playoffs. We've done it a little bit differently this year, putting our spot in playoffs or getting that locked up a little bit earlier. So I feel like our team's just been itching to go, ready to start, and we can't wait for Saturday.
All right, I'm going to give you the cliche question right out of the gate because Montreal had they're the number 1 seed, and in the PWHL, they get to choose their opponent between the 3 and the 4. You guys are the 3, Ottawa's the 4, yet they chose you. Is there any nastiness between the two clubs now after they chose you instead of taking the 4 seed?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just a fun little wrinkle the league's added with that playoff selection process. But I mean, for us, we're just excited to play. I think we were ready to play whoever it was going to be, knowing it was going to be Boston or Montreal, and we knew we were going on the road, and that's kind of been our mantra, and it doesn't really change. That's something we know from the last 2 years is we got to worry about ourselves, and we gotta be ready to beat anyone anyway. So we're just excited to get going.
2 years ago, you scored 4 goals. Last year, you scored 3. This year, 16 goals, leading the PWHL in points, first ever to get a higher than 30 points in a season. What changed offensively for you this year?
It's a little bit of everything. I mean, I think a little bit of it is puck luck, honestly, just getting some of those bounces. A little bit just hanging around the net a little bit more. I think most of my goals happen just around the net, cleaning up rebounds. Our power play's been clicking, and so when that is kind of rolling, you steal a few quick ones in a row there. And I think what also helps is it just feels like, some of the forwards we're playing with, between me, Kendall, Heisey, Britta, Zom, all of us, it just seems like we're going. And when we tend to play with each other at different times, whether it's 5-on-5 or at power plays, if we're going, we should be producing like that. So I think there's a little bit of everything, and then just a little bit of a mindset shift to put myself in those positions to score and to get those pucks in the good areas. And like I said, from there, sometimes it's being in the right place, right time, and other times it's a little bit of puck luck. And all in all, just trying to put in the work in.
You mentioned some teammates that obviously you have some familiarity with and some chemistry with. Yet, that being said, after you guys won back-to-back championships, you had the expansion draft last year with 2 new franchises, so you ended up losing some good players, some good core players. What has this season been like trying to reconstruct and almost reform a team after you'd had such good chemistry the past 2 seasons?
Yeah, I think it's just been something everyone's kind of had to deal with. Is you had the opportunity everyone lost some people, but you also had the opportunity to add some. And I can't say enough good things about our rookies. I mean, look at Kendall Cooper specifically. She's just had a monster year, kind of done it almost quietly, but it just seems like every night she's just getting better and better and getting more comfortable with what her role is and how she fits into not only our team, but also the way that the league is played. And I can say the same thing for other rookies and other players that have stepped up. I think Katie Knoll's been a big one who had, started finding some footing in the playoffs last year and took that confidence and ran with it this year. And you can just go down the lineup. Nate Batherson's another one. Nat Bookbinder's another one. Just players that, again, maybe didn't have the same opportunities last year and years past. They've been, excited to step into those new opportunities this year. And it's just been fun to see the way the teams come together. And we just have such a fun group that it makes coming to their rink every day really enjoyable.
The last 2 seasons, you guys were the 4 seed entering the playoffs, yet you won both championships. I have to imagine, well, 1, do you guys just feel like you guys are built for playoff hockey? And 2, I guess, how much confidence do you guys have in a playoff series knowing that, hey, we know how to navigate ourselves through a 5-game playoff series?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing, right? Is like in this league, like we know anyone can beat anyone on any given day, and that 5-game series piece of it is different, right? So now you're able to hone in on those adjustments to special teams is a big one. Being able to tweak things here and there, being able to focus just on one opponent. I also just think that like the character that we have in our room, we have to talk to the people that run the team the last 2 years or last year, and the people that all have experience winning, and even those that we're on a team that have experience winning coming into it. And I think that's something that while we know we can fall back on the experience that we had, we also know that this year is going to be different, and we can't just expect, because we won last year as a 4 seed, and things are just going to fall into place. Like we still got to be the ones to make that happen. And I just keep saying it, like we're excited to play, and I'm excited to see how our team is done. The one thing that we've kind of kept similar is we can have the greatest end of the regular season. But I also think, we're able to turn that page knowing like this is what really matters. This is the time of the year where, we fight to get ourselves a chance to be in playoffs. And now's the time where you just got to enjoy it and keep putting your best foot forward.
I was actually going to ask you about the end of the regular season because, as you mentioned, you guys, you've been on a losing streak as you entered. But, the last 2 seasons, you guys were fighting all the way up until the last game, whereas this year you had the playoffs clinched with still 6 games to go. So how much of that mentality switch? I mean, I see the way the Wild are playing after they kind of clinched they kind of went through a similar thing where they clinched, basically 2 weeks ahead of time, and then just kind of coasted, made sure they were healthy the rest of the way. How is entering the playoffs mentally this year different than the last 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of done it both ways. Where last year we won our last 2 games, we won our last game, kind of dominated. So I think we felt all really good with some good momentum going into it. The year before, we slid our way in, and both times we needed help from other teams to get us in. And so I think that's another thing, like talking about our experience, is we know kind of how to reset, and we know, again, where to focus on, come playoffs. And I think we feel good about the game plan we have. And like you said, like a lot of it is trying to make sure we're healthy, make sure people are feeling good, trying some different things, tweaking some different lines, trying to find the best, combinations, and whether it's offensively, defensively, putting people in different spots, the special teams, where can we try out some new killers, in case you need them type of thing. And especially with our rules, right? Like if you get a penalty, it's the 4 players on the ice stay on the ice. So everyone's, relied upon in that way too. So it was something that we didn't know how to navigate, and I don't think we did it great, but I also think that we know how to turn the page.
All right, you guys take on Montreal. Game 1 on Saturday is going to be up in Quebec. That's a 1 p.m. start. First game of a best-of-5 series. Talk to me about Montreal a little bit. When I look at their stats, I mean, the goaltender stats are just absolutely outrageous. And Renee Desbiens led the PWHL with a 1.11 goals against average and a .955 save percentage, which is just astronomical. She shut you guys out twice. What makes her so hard to score on? And I'm also assuming probably the structure in front of her.
Yeah, she's a great goaltender. She's one of the tallest in the league. She has a ton of experience, world-class level. An Olympic goalie, I think 3 times now at least. Starter for 2 of those. Started most of the world championships in the last 5 years, not all of them. So she has a ton of confidence, and she plays with a ton of confidence. And I think it's one of those things where you have to respect her, but also not fear it. That's one thing about this league too, is that all the goalies that start are national caliber goaltenders, right? They're national team caliber goaltenders, and the thing about our team too is we have 2 of them. So it's one of those things where we don't want to fear. You got to respect it, but you also have to just challenge her the same. You challenge every other goalie, get in front of her eyes, win the net front, be willing to score gritty, dirty goals. I think you see it, watching some of the NHL playoffs. That's how goals are scored. That's how the game winners are scored in overtime. That's just playoff hockey, and it doesn't really matter that the goaltender we're playing against. That's just the way you're going to have to get the job done.
It sounds like you guys need some Kelly Pannek type goals tonight or Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah, just hang out around in front of the net. No, it's definitely been a huge focus for us, is getting to the net front. You touched on it, the structure that their team plays with. They're well coached. They play hard. They play physical. They have a good balance of some speed and size, with some playmakers in there. They have one, when they put them all together, their Poulin, Rock, and Stacey line is one of the best that you can find in the PWHL. And they got some depth scoring kind of coming on later in the year too. So I think our teams match up really well, actually. And like I said, it's who's going to find those goals in those dirty areas and win the net fronts.
Kelly, really appreciate your time. Good to talk to you again, and good luck starting on Saturday in Ottawa.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks. Kelly Pannek, Minnesota Frost forward. Frost taking on the Montreal Victoire, the number 3 seed versus the number 1 seed. That best of 5 begins Saturday, 1 o'clock in Montreal. We'll talk Minnesota Wild hockey. They got a big one tonight. Ryan Carter, television analyst for FanDuel Sports Network, joins me next.
What's happening to your favorite KFAN shows? You can. It's very easy. You can make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. So let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard text message and data rates apply.
Big one tonight in St. Paul. The Minnesota Wild with the opportunity to close out the Dallas Stars in their first round playoff matchup. They lead the series 3-2. Game 6 tonight. 6:30 start at Grand Casino Arena. You'll be able to watch it on FanDuel Sports Network, which means you get to see the very handsome face of Ryan Carter, who joins now. Hi, Ryan.
Hey, Ted. Thanks for saying that.
You're very handsome.
It's probably you and my wife that feel that way, so I do appreciate that sentiment.
Well, at least your wife still thinks that way, so that's good.
That's true. I haven't asked her lately.
And you've probably been knocked in the face a few times in your hockey career, so the fact that it still looks somewhat presentable is a good thing for you.
Yeah, looks can be deceiving. I wish it would function as it was supposed to, but a couple of left hooks changed the way that my nose works. But nonetheless, happy to be here.
I want to talk Wild with you in a second because you'll be on the call tonight. But I saw the news yesterday. You're now the head coach of the White Bear Lake girls high school hockey team. Congrats on the job, and I want to know what drew you into wanting to be a high school hockey coach.
Oh, yeah, to be honest, really wasn't on the bingo card, but, you know, I grew up in White Bear, love White Bear Lake. I find it to be a hockey city first and foremost, maybe more than any other sport. Might be biased in that sentiment a little bit, but, you know, an opportunity to coach and to impact some of the girls here was an opportunity that it was tough to overlook. I've coached at the youth level for the last handful of years, so I've gotten to know some of the players and their families, good families, and excited about the opportunity to be able to just continue with this kind of era of young athlete in White Bear Lake. And White Bear's got some great stuff going too. They've got a tremendous new school here. And, I think I subscribe to the theory that if you build it, they will come. Great school. I think teachers and everybody else are drawn to it now. So, you've got Hugo, which is a growing population. So there's young kids entering the program and a lot of excitement there on the school front. And then, on the hockey side, it's a school that I find it was rich in tradition and want to try to find a way to carry that on. I think we've seen other schools probably have to co-op to keep their programs alive, and hoping that we can try to find a way to utilize the school, the city, the growth of Hugo to keep White Bear a singular program and a strong one.
Yeah, as someone who's part of a hockey program in a neighboring community, I must say I'm very jealous of your facilities there in White Bear Lake, and the city does put a lot into it, which is very not all communities have that. So you guys should feel very grateful there in the WBL.
Yeah, and certainly are. And the facilities, they are great. I got to give credit to the youth association here for investment in some of those facilities. The kids at the youth level get to use that too. And, they share the rink in Vadnais. It's a Ramsey County rink, the high school rink. So the hope is that maybe someday that there could be a rink in White Bear that both high schools actually play at too, that they can call their own. That would be fantastic.
Well, good luck to you moving forward, except for when you play Mounds View Irondale. Let's talk about the game tonight. First, how about the injury stuff for the Minnesota Wild? Jonas Brodin out. Obviously, he was out a good chunk of the game in Game 5 after blocking a shot. What do the Wild lose without Jonas Brodin in the lineup tonight?
Well, I think this is probably not fair to say, but I think if you're looking at anybody in their top 4, and this is a credit to Bill Guerin and the depth that he's probably built at the blue line, but if you're going to lose anybody in the top 4 right now, Jonas Brodin might be the one that you can survive probably the best, or you can fill that void the best, because Jake Middleton, who was playing in your top four for the last couple of years, just slides up, and then he ends up being right alongside Jared Spurgeon, who he's got great familiarity with. So I think losing him is more palatable than losing somebody like Faber or Spurgeon. And obviously Quinn Hughes on that left side as well. He's different than anybody else, so tough to replace. But what the Wild are losing is a guy that takes complete pride in playing in his own end and the defensive side of the puck. I think for years, and Brodin's getting a little longer in the tooth, but for years when he was younger and still a prospect, he had the ability to skate, move the puck, and create some offense, but he just cared so much about the D side of the puck that he was willing to sacrifice the offensive numbers to be good defensively. And, since the acquisition of Hughes, I think that Spurgeon and Brodin have just accepted this role as a second pair shutdown group, and they've taken that with pride. There's leadership in that group. They've been through the last dozen years with the Wild where they've had the first round exits and everything else. So I think they understand what it takes to win, and losing Brodin there hurts, I think, because you do lose that experience, you lose that want, you lose that skill. But it was a little promising this morning that Hines said it's day to day, because post game 5, it looked like maybe it was going to be more than day to day.
Yeah, and then to your point, it's nice when you have Middleton and Spurgeon who have plenty of experience playing with each other in the past, and have actually been, at times been your number one D pairing here in the past. So it's, I do imagine though, so Petrie is going to be on that third pairing, Bogosian moving over to the left side. One, do you think they're going to have reduced minutes tonight? Two, how hard is it for a player in the National Hockey League to go from right D to left D when you're right-handed? And three, what do you think of Petrie over Damon Hunt as the decision?
Yeah, all good questions. Do I think they have minimized minutes? Yeah, I do. I do think that there's an opportunity to close a great team in Dallas out in Game 6. So it'll be interesting to watch how Hines kind of uses his bench. Meaning, I think he'd probably go all in to try to win Game 6 on home ice and not try to save people for a potential Game 7 and manage those minutes. So, depending on game script, if it's close and they've got a lead, I do think that they're going to probably use those top 4 guys quite heavily. As for two righties on that third set and how hard it is for Bogosian to move over, he's shown that he can do it in the past. The game's obviously faster in the playoffs, but it's also a little bit more grind. And I think that's kind of to his skill set. So maybe a little bit easier for him to move to that side than a different kind of player. The other thing with it is a lot of times it'll be on the breakout that becomes an issue. You're going to have to make passes on your backhand. You'll be facing the middle of the ice at odd times. And I think he just knows the game well enough right now to be able to navigate those things. And I think third, with the physicality in this series, it's gotten, I think, a little tempered. Everybody was in each other's face. Every hit was finished through the first 4 games. I don't think anybody, passed up an opportunity to lay the body. Game 5, it felt very much like both teams understood what was at stake now. And it was still physical, but it was a controlled physical. So without guys running around, I think Bogosian can probably handle that offside a little bit better in the physicality that might be coming his way. And then Petrie, I think the reason they go with him, and Hines mentioned it, the lefty-righty thing playing on your forehand, I find it to be significant. Holding the puck in the zone and trying to create offense too. You get the shots, you get your stick on the wall. Little nuanced parts to the game that are better having lefty-righty. But I think that third pair's, they're not going to have the offensive responsibilities. I think it's going to be a simple game in the offensive zone. So they're going to handle that. And Petrie is a guy that's been around, and he's with Florida. They've won. He understands, I think, probably the atmosphere and how to simplify his game, not get caught up in kind of the emotion of things. I think you factor that in, and that's probably a little bit more valuable to the coaching staff than the righty-lefty combo.
Well, that experience might have been valuable with Philip Gustafsson, yet they made the decision to go with Jesper Valsted. What have you thought of him through 5 games? I think he's been pretty darn good.
maybe an understatement. I'm pretty darn good. I mean, he's been great. I had a chance to talk to him before last year, and he seemed like he was in a hurry to be good, be great. Drafted in the first round, felt the pressure, maybe wanted to be good. But that position takes time to develop, and I don't think he was willing to accept that timeline. So last year, beginning of the year, I mean, I think we're pretty well versed on how that played out. 3 goaltenders, Marc-Andre Fleury, Gustafsson, Wallstedt, and it looked like Wallstedt was going to compete and get some games, but Gustafsson and Fleury were both good, and Wallstedt never got a chance. He went down to the minors, and he never got ahead of his game last year. He said that mentally tough, bounced back. And now this year, he looks like a guy that has accepted the pace of development to become an NHL goaltender. He's accepted the fact that not everything is up to him and on his terms. And I think he's now understood that to be his best, he's got to be in a certain kind of mindset. And this is what it takes to be a pro. You've got to learn how to stay in the mindset that gives you the best chance to have success. And that's what I think Wallstedt has done this playoff series and down the stretch. He knew the net was up for grabs. John Hines gave him a chance, alternating games, didn't tip his hand or his cap to who was going to get game one. And Wallstedt just continued to play good, play good, play good. He's earned it. Now in the playoffs, he's not let it get to him. He continues to just be solid, stop the puck, do his job. And then when it comes to like confidence, you see it in him right now. The puck is sticking to him. He's ready on plays. He's set. When a puck beats him, you think about the Johnson double OT goal. Body language wasn't sagging, wasn't upset, didn't hustle off the ice. You just kind of understood that, hey, that was a bounce. That's hockey. It beat me, and it was on to the next game. So he's had a very mature mentality, and I think that's a big reason why he's been able to have success. Because the playoffs, it's hard to hide both when you're bad and when you're good. There's so many eyeballs on the game, especially that position. And he's done a tremendous job managing the highs and the praise and maintaining just a level head.
We got to see Matt Zuccarello return in Game 5. Immediate impact, scores in the first goal of the game. Obviously, Kaprizov looks different when Zuccarello's on the ice. The power play looks different. What is it about Zuccarello, even at this age, that you don't necessarily think of him as one of your big-time star players, but he still has a major impact on this team?
Yeah, I think when it comes to Zuccarello, it's if you want it to be true, speak it. I think he'll be the first to tell you that the team's better, the power play is better, that Carrillo's better with him, and he says that first. But what's great about that process is he goes out and plays, and it supports what he says. And Kaprizov looks a little quicker. And, he's a guy that thinks the game probably as fast or at as high level as anybody else. And Matt Zuccarello can match that. And when those two are on the same page, they play faster. I think they like each other. That post-game presser after Game 5 was interesting too, because for the first time having those two guys at a set talking with the banter back and forth, and I've had them on the podcast before, we saw a little bit of it, but that setting, that scene, you could see the connection between the two of them, and they're answering each other's questions. They're looking out for each other. So there's a legitimate chemistry there that is obviously developed through friendship. On the power play, I think Zuccarello's done a good job. Coming into the year, the question was, because Zuccarello likes to slow the power play down, and the desire for the PP was to be able to move the puck quick, and penalty kills want to be fast and pressure. Yeah. How do you beat it? A couple of good passes, boom, boom, snap it around, establish shot, utilize Eriksson Ek. But Zuccarello slows it down. But he's figured out how to slow it down while maintaining a pretty darn good pace. And he's developed himself into a good shooter in that spot. So the kill has to respect that shot. And if they don't, he's able to put it in. So he knows his options. He thinks it open. He can execute. And then he also knows the outs. Like John Hines is very complimentary on the power play of the work ethic in that group and from that group. He knows where to go on the ice to support the guys that are winning the board battles, to relieve pressure. And when it gets to him, he knows where they are to relieve pressure too. And if it weren't for that skill set and that intelligence, I don't think the power play cashes in Game 5 with the Boldy goal, because it took 3-4 plays to relieve pressure from a guy like Matt Zuccarello before Boldy eventually got that shot.
Stars making some changes tonight. What do you make of, Myers out of the lineup? They're making a change on their third line. bringing in Bunting. What do you think of the moves that Dallas is making tonight?
I've thought coaching in this series has been top notch, and the messages that the coaches have delivered to their team through the media. We don't hear what happens behind closed doors, but it's been very steady and consistent. And I think Gulletson has been unflappable. It's actually surprised me that the Wild or Dallas has now gone over 200 minutes without a 5-on-5 goal, and Gulletson hasn't switched up the lines. It reminds me last year of Bruce Cassidy, where he felt that Minnesota was getting the bounces against Vegas, and that he would just stick with it, and that would even out. I think Gulletson has played a similar hand where he's like, hey, we're not scoring, but we're there, we're good, these are our lines. I'm not going to change something because I don't want the group to think that I'm panicking or that we're chasing this series or this game. I felt he's wanted to maintain this mentality that they've got the upper hand. They just have to continue to execute. Now, this is the first time where I think there's a little crack in that narrative, and he's like, okay, like, we feel the pressure. We're down 3-2 on the road against a heck of a team. We've got to change some things up. And I think he's going to swap the lines up front. He's going to move some pieces around. We'll see if he doesn't load things up as the game goes on, but we'll see some tactics in terms of probably line matching and changing that we haven't seen in this series. Tyler Myers, that one was interesting to me. He's their deadline get, and actually both their deadline gets. Bunting hasn't been a part of the series either, so Bunting, I think, will draw in tonight. We'll see what he can provide. He's had 20 goals in the past. He's an agitator. Maybe Gulletson's hoping that he can get Dallas to the power play because that's been elite. But Myers is he's a big guy, and that pair on paper was scary. You got Bischel, who's I think 6'6", and Myers, who's 6'7". So you're like, there's absolutely no room out there. But the work ethic from guys like Boldy and Eriksson Ek, just willing to stay in the battle, has really exposed Tyler Myers and his inability to be mobile, and without the cross check and the stick horizontal and taking up that space, he's not been as effective on the blue line. And then the pressure from the forecheck has forced him to turn into a puck mover. And I think he's not top level when it comes to that. So they're looking for somebody that maybe has a little bit better boots to try to break out cleaner.
Talking with Ryan Carter, television analyst for FanDuel Sports Network. You can watch him tonight on FanDuel Sports Network. I believe the final broadcast of FanDuel Sports Network. What is it about the Stars power play that makes them historically good, and the Wild defending it? What changes have they had to make as the series has gone along, and did they gain any confidence from a couple of big kills in Game 5?
I think they did gain some confidence. Dallas's power play is elite because it's multi-dimensional. And I give credit to Gulletson too, because he's run the power play in Edmonton the last handful of years where it's been the best power play in the league. And what he had there is Connor McDavid, a guy that can and requires everybody's attention. So I think throughout this series, he's deployed a couple of tactics where he understands, after certain success in power play tactics in a game, what the team might do to combat that. And he's been a step ahead. I can look at the rush goals as one of those. Rantanen scored a rush goal on an entry. I think Duchesne had one too. They attacked the right side, which is the forward side of the PK. 2 goals there. So what do the next game? They don't do the double drop. They snap it up the left side and they score a rush goal that way. And that was early in the game. So he's found some tactics. They're not, they are multidimensional. Again, I keep going back to this in the games too. Johnston led the league in power play goals for from the bumper spot. And he's not just like held his boots in that bumper spot. He's moved around, and the Wild have tried to take that away. They've done a good job taking him away, but at times that's exposed goal line attacks and other openings there that I think Dallas has been able to exploit. So what have the Wild learned? I think they've learned that White Johnston's good. Haskins a little better than anybody thought. That Duchesne can fill the void for Rupe Hintz, and that Dallas's power play, it's best to just stay out of the box because they can beat you a number of different ways. But the clinic that power play has put on has been something to watch.
Well, one of the reasons the Wild are still in this series, just in spite of that Dallas Stars power play, is Dallas not getting anything from their bottom 6. The Wild, on the other hand, 2 big goals from McCarron, obviously a huge goal from Foligno in Game 4 to force overtime. Dallas has yet to get a goal other than just from 5 players in this series. Can that trend continue, or is that balloon about to pop at some point?
There's that PDO stat, which I think measures shooting percentage and save percentage or something of the like. And some think that stat kind of illustrates a luck quotient. And the Wild, I think, were second in that category in the playoffs, and Dallas was second to last in the playoffs in that category. So I think Dallas does feel that they've had some poor luck and that their depth play hasn't been that bad. But if you look at it in general and say what you will about the playoff seeding, and it's been unfortunate that Dallas and Minnesota, 2 of the best teams in the league, one of them has to be done after the first round. But I think it's been polarizing for both teams, and they've had to have great respect for the opposition and really tighten their game up defensively because each team is so great offensively. So with that, I think the depth guys for Dallas have struggled to score and chip in offensively because there's been such good structure from the Wild defensively, buy-in, staying on the right side of the puck, not cheating for offense. I keep going to this one too, like with a guy like Kirill Kaprizov. Nobody's talking about how well he's managed the puck. Yeah, he's got a handful of points, and it's like, where's Kirill? Where's Kirill? He's managed the puck well. He's getting offense from the walls. And what he's not done is make risky plays to the middle of the ice to have the puck go the other direction and give a Colin Blackwell a chance or give some of their depth guys a chance. It's been a buy-in with great commitment on a certain style of play. And I think that's taken the offense out of the bottom 6 of the Dallas Stars. And quite frankly, it's taken the offense out of the top 6 of the Dallas Stars too at even strength.
It's a funny point you bring up about Kaprizov. I didn't even think about it until you said that. Like, he had the one turnover in Game 1 that landed on, I forget which Dallas Stars. It might have been Jamie Benn there when we kind of had like a 2-goal lead there in the second period. Other than that, I don't recall like a mistake from Kirill Kaprizov.
Yeah, and you're like, his name's Kirill the Thrill. He's got great skills. Like, you expect him to make these tremendous plays, and it's because he can. But during the regular season, he's going to lead the team in turnovers. There's a direct correlation between, giveaways and offense. You look at it in the NHL, there's a direct correlation. The skill guys, they have to be able to try to make these plays, and sometimes it doesn't work. But what's been promising about Kirill and the style of play, again, I think this alludes to the respect that this group has for the Dallas Stars, is we're not going to try to make those plays right now. We're going to get our offense through hard work, and it's a hard type of skill. Win the wall battle, quick little release, quick pass, trust my teammate, get to the net. And those are the kind of goals that the Wild have scored at 5-on-5, and it's the kind of plays that the top guys are making. And with that, there's been buy-in from the bottom 6 guys, and it's been a very responsible series with the puck.
Ryan, enjoyed talking with you, and can't wait to watch you tonight on FanDuel Sports Network. Should be a good one.
Yeah, excited to see the building, the atmosphere. There have been some Game 6s at home over the last couple of years, but none with the Wild with a 3-2 series lead.
Yep.
So a chance to close out Dallas. 6:30 start. We don't have to wait till 8:50 for a puck drop. Super excited for this one, and that everybody can watch it and hopefully talk about a Wild win on time at school for all you kids tomorrow.
Yeah, my kids can actually watch the game tonight. What a concept. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Dana. Appreciate it, buddy.
Ryan Carter, television analyst for the Minnesota Wild. You can watch him tonight, 6:30 start on FanDuel Sports Network. We'll talk with Mark Rosen. He's back from his Italy vacation. We'll hear all about it next right here on The Fitz.